Today, what do I want to do? I want to share some of my tidbits. Do I want to turn about tidbits? Hello everyone, welcome to another video. If this is your first time here, I'm Tian Tian, and in this channel we talk about things related to design and the pursuit of creative ideas. Today I wanted to talk a little bit more about my journey into UX and product design and some of the learnings that I've gained along the way, and if, I could tell my younger self in 2017, like, hey girl, this is what you should do, or hey girl, here's some things that I've learned. This is what I would tell her. But I want to also preface, like, this was my journey, right? And my journey is my journey, and my journey is not your journey. So this is not the right way or the wrong way to do anything. This is not the end all be all, like how things should go. I just am a true believer of, like, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm hoping that hopefully you can learn something or take something away from this video that you can use to inform how you want to define your journey. So let's just get to it. So number one is immersing myself in the design community or tech community in general. So as I was pursuing things or trying to understand just design in general, I started to really put myself into the different communities, explore the different groups, just so I could start understanding the lingo, the language, what people are talking about, why people are talking about things, what's important in the community, what's not important in the community, all these different places. I think when you're transitioning into a career or a new career in something you're completely unfamiliar with, it's like learning a new language almost. Like, if you're learning Japanese, or if you're learning Spanish, or if you're learning like German, to understand the culture at a very deep level, you have to start to learn the practices and how they speak, the way they speak, and all these different things. And so when you really immerse yourself in the community, that opportunity to start really understanding the nuances and and just getting engaged in those conversations, I felt like was really helpful. So for me, like I said, I got involved with the startup scene in my local town. When I eventually moved to Atlanta, I got involved in the startup scene in Atlanta as well, going to hackathons, connecting with other designers, other tech people here in Atlanta through those kind of events, just meetups when, COVID wasn't a thing, but, with the growth in, places like, Discord and other areas where you can join these like virtual groups or these larger communities, I think, that it's the way to immerse yourself in the community has definitely changed somewhat, but I still think there's a lot of opportunity out there to just connect with other designers and other tech partners as well. So that is the first takeaway, and I think that's the first thing that I genuinely believe really, really helped me, because if not, it would have been a pretty lonely journey. Takeaway number two is find your mentors. And I say mentors is because I know that a lot of people out there say, like, hey, to really help your career and help your career move forward, you should try and find a mentor to help and guide you along the way. And I think from my personal experience, I've never really had a mentor per se. I've had people that I've looked up to on the internet, and I have found a lot of the words they say really insightful, really great, and helped in my learning, and I've just followed their journey along the way as well. And so when I say find your mentor, find people who are like industry experts or experts in a specific field, or talk about a specific field a lot, and have, you could quote unquote say kind of like influencers in the space. You have to be careful, but my point is, like, what ended up happening was, like, I followed a lot of people on Twitter, found a lot of people on YouTube that I followed and watched their videos and contents, looked at, their Twitter pages to see kind of what they're talking about. Also, Medium has been a really great place for me too. And reading a lot of the articles and what people are talking about and following certain people depending on if I really found their information really helpful in the things that I'm learning and doing. And I'm still doing that to this day. So there are a few people that I like to follow and listen to, and I think a lot of the words they have are very, very insightful. And so you don't necessarily need a direct mentorship first, or like, I don't necessarily think it is the end all be all, or like you need to do that. It's definitely very, very helpful because you'll have something very reliable to go to ask any questions. But I feel like mentorship doesn't always have to look that way. I think mentorship has different lenses or variations of it. And I have found that when you're able to find your mentors or people that you look up to, it can be really, really helpful. And just another way, again, to immerse yourself in the community and understand and look at different outlets that can help you along the way. The third takeaway is push your craft and your process every day. And I'm not saying go and make an app every day. I'm not saying go through the whole design process every single day or every single week, or you have to do a design challenge every other day. I think it's to keep an open mind, and as you're taking in a lot of the applications that you're using, the websites that you're using, start studying the structures and the layouts and figure out how to make them. Be curious and like, oh, how did this happen? How did this interaction? Oh, as I'm navigating between this one screen or this other screen or this area to this other area, how did that make me feel? What was that experience like as a user going through point A to point B or point A to point B point 1, right? Like being a little bit more, I guess, studious in using these types of experiences, since this is probably what you want to be working on, creating, and doing as your career. So that's definitely, I feel like, one way to push your craft and your process, to just understand how it works now and how it currently functions, whether it's, these are areas of improvement that we need to make, or you take this as a form of inspiration into the work that you do. I just want to encourage people to go out and create. There are a lot of like mini challenges out there, like the daily UI challenge that you can just take and do UI and just improve visual design, visual craft there. And again, time box yourself. Don't make it a 3-hour thing. Make it like a 30-minute thing. Like, I think it's more so, as you're starting out, there is a lot to take in and a lot to and learn. And instead of taking everything into like big chunks and like swallowing everything like with as a huge wave, tidbits, little bits and pieces, little snacks along the way. Like, 30 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Ooh, another 5 minutes there. And then build upon that, and you'd be surprised like how much these small increments of time really built up. And after a whole year, you'll be like, whoa, I've learned a lot, or whoa, my craft got from here to here. That's insane. And when you get to that point where you're like, oh wow, I really have improved, I think that just builds more comfortable. You become more comfortable, you become more confident, and not just being able to like think and process the things that you're doing, but just confident in your execution as well. And I think, because if you're pushing your craft and process every day kind of on yourself, you can make you can make your own mistakes. You're not confined to the constraints of a project telling you what to do, or a freelance opportunity telling you what to do, or all these different things. I think it is important to get quote unquote that experience per se, but I also think it's important for you to be able to find yourself and find how you approach things and how you think about things. And I think when you're able to explore and push your craft and process every day, that's a great opportunity to be able to do that. Takeaway number 4 is be intentional with what you're doing and stay curious. And I think this kind of overlaps a little bit with the previous takeaway, but the point that I really want to emphasize here is think about what you're doing it, why you're doing it. And I know I don't want this may come off harsh, but like, don't mindlessly do something. Like, I feel like if you're intentionally understanding why you're doing something, it will help you progress as you move forward. And so, and it helps you understand yourself, your thought process, your thinking, and your why as well. And if you don't know something, that's completely okay too. And this is why I say stay curious. Like, stay curious. If you don't know something, that's perfectly fine. You're never gonna know everything. I don't know everything. Even the most brilliant people don't know everything. And I think it's okay to Google it. Take the initiative, Google it, get some information on it. And if you're trying to dive deeper into it, learn more about the topic, find a mentor. Look for people who are experts in the space and see what they're saying. So this one's a little bit of a shorter one. I think it kind of overlaps with a few of the other takeaways, but it's really, again, being intentional, stay curious, which I think will really start to help you, or really helped me, like, understand why I'm doing something and how I approach in my process to thinking and problem solving and just understanding. Last thing that I want to say, or the last takeaway that I got, is learn how to ask, give, and take feedback. And I think this is probably one of the hardest things to do, especially like taking feedback, just depending on if you share your work with the world and then the world comes at you. And sometimes feedback is very unfiltered. Sometimes feedback seems more like criticism versus proper critique. It's a whole thing. But as designers in the work that we do, being able to show and share your work early and often is not an easy task, but I think it's helped me know and improve quicker versus me keeping my work to myself. If you're working on something and maybe you don't have anybody directly to give you feedback, again, find those communities, find those people, immerse yourself in those communities and ask for feedback there. And in most cases, people are pretty like receptive to giving you feedback in a proper way, in a way that is a critique, in a way that's not just completely demoralizing people, because there are people out there who do that. But as you start to gain feedback, also give feedback, because it also will challenge. It's like giving not only taking in feedback is a skill, but like giving feedback has been definitely a skill, and something that I'm still working on too, because the type of feedback that you give is really contextual. It's really like, what kind of feedback? Do you really want broad feedback, very specific feedback? Are you looking for feedback on the design or the flow that you're working on? Are you looking for feedback on the visual design? There's so many ways, and as you start to just get used to it, understand it, know it, and get familiar with it, when you ask for feedback, you'll have a better understanding of what you want from your feedback, and also what to give. And I think this is really like a skill that's really helpful, and just, as you progress in your career, learning how to scope things and put things in a way that don't make it so broad that it can seem overwhelming. So learn how to give, ask, and take feedback. I'm still going through this skill, but I think especially starting out, it can seem very, very intimidating at times to ask for feedback from people or put yourself out there. But, once you start, I feel like it's only going to help. So yeah, those are the 5 takeaways. I hope you were able to gain some insights that you can apply to your own design career or journey. Let me know if anything stood out to you. You can leave that in the comments below. Other than that, if you liked this video, you can give it a thumbs up. If you want to see future videos, you can give this channel a subscribe. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will chat with you later. Do you see the Doge? The Doge be sleeping. He is very sleeping. He is so asleep right now. He is so asleep.